Welcome to the greatest podcast in sports betting entertainment. My name is Tanner Kern, certified G, bona fide stud, and you can't teach that. And this right here, this is G Money Grant Mitchell. We are here breaking down everything going on in the NFL and a little UFC, and you can't teach that. Bada boom, man. The people in the room, G Money Grant Mitchell. How you doing?
I'm super excited about this show because we have some crazy stories that we needed to get into. Obviously, preseason here. That's exciting. We're going to be talking about some of the young stars of the league and some of the young stars that we think might actually be trash cans. But like, seriously, stick around these next 5 to 10 minutes because we got some crazy stories.
Preseason football starts on Thursday officially. Madden comes out on Thursday. That is a dumb release date for Madden. Dumb release.
Okay, so let me throw this analogy at you. There's a conversation in the music industry. Like, imagine Beyonce and Taylor Swift are putting an album out on the same day. If you're a small artist, there's a debate. Do I want to put my album out on that same day? Because I know everyone's going to the iTunes store, or I know everyone's on Spotify. So I know everyone's there looking for music, and I have a chance to be found. Versus the other school of thought is they're already devoted to Beyonce and Taylor Swift. Nobody's ever going to listen to my music. So I think this might just be one of those cases, and they chose to go with Beyonce and Taylor Swift.
Nobody watches preseason football, really. I mean, you want to watch the guys like the rookies, but nobody's like sitting there grinding out preseason football, I don't think. But Madden should have come out on Wednesday because this is the pre-release date, and the regular release date doesn't matter anymore. Everybody gets the pre-release. So I was a little disappointed by that. But football's back Thursday. Very excited about it. Madden's back Thursday.
How come all the games are on Saturday? Do you know?
There's games Thursday, Friday, though, isn't there?
Yeah, sorry. But I mean, the bulk of the schedule, like obviously it's Sunday during the NFL season, but there's only 2 Sunday games. There's 8 Saturday games.
It's probably all the TV rights and stuff. I'm excited for that Commies Patriots game on Friday night. I doubt we get Drake May. We definitely won't get JD.
Are you going?
No, I'm not going to go. I had a commitment that I didn't realize, but I'll be watching it.
Yeah, I wonder. I know like the Rams, obviously with McVay, they're notorious for not playing their starters. JJ McCarthy going to be playing for the Vikings. We're going to talk about that later on. So I am interested to see, what vets or what starters actually end up playing this week.
Yeah, I want to see what Travis Hunter looks like in the Jacksonville game, but half these we're not going to actually see what the deal is. Because we're not going to see starters probably week 1. We'll see them week 2, most likely for a little bit. I think game reps are so valuable in the preseason. I know the players have gotten away from it, but back in the day, like you would see Tom Brady in the preseason into the third quarter. It's just crazy where we were to where we are now.
Speaking of Travis Hunter, by the way, did you see that he's listed as a starter at receiver and he's cornerback? I think he's cornerback 2, but really that means cornerback 4 because there's 2 cornerback positions.
Yeah, I did see that, and I made a video on it, and people were like, he's still going to play both ways. So I was basically like, he's not really going to play both ways. And he's probably going to play a few packages on defense. He's going to be primarily a receiver. This whole playing both ways thing is not going to work in the NFL. He cannot physically take 17 games a year playing as many snaps as he did in college for a long time. And if I'm the Jacksonville Jaguars, I don't want my first-round pick, my generational talent franchise player, to have a 4-year career. So I think they're going to be very careful with him, especially early in his career.
Yeah, if he was a little bulkier, then I think it might be a little more realistic, although still unrealistic. But skinny guys just don't age well in the NFL. Hey, you remember when Jaden Daniels had his rib injury last year? We just got confirmation yesterday, actually, that it was a broken rib. They just called it rib soreness, whatever, this entire time, but it was a broken rib. So it took him 6 weeks into his NFL career to get hit, and it was almost a non-contact injury. Like he was tackled to the ground, but then he kind of somersaulted, and that appeared to be where he got injured. So yeah, skinny guys, you're not going to last long in the NFL anyway if you don't put on some bulk. And to play both ways, you're really shortening your timeline.
Speaking of LSU, did you see? It's not funny, but it's wild. The highlight tape that they did for like the LSU tape. Brian Kelly had the situation where he made the kid climb up on the.
Yeah.
They opened with that, like not that, but they opened with a clip of the tower, not like obviously the tower was at Notre Dame, but like the tower that they film off of. They opened with that in the highlight tape, and LSU took it down like a minute later.
Who posted this?
LSU football.
So this was a school sponsored thing.
It was one of their training camp highlight tapes, like pump up. So but the opening frame is one of the like towers that the students film off of for practice.
That's crazy.
Yeah, like they got to be a little smarter about that. LSU, and it doesn't seem like they're going to class down there and studying too much. That's a dumb thing to open with.
Yeah, for anybody who doesn't know, Brian Kelly, back when he was at Notre Dame, correct me if I'm wrong here. Was it like it was windy or something? There was some reason not to go up in the tower, but Brian Kelly had a student assistant or somebody go up in the tower anyway, and the wind knocked it over, and the kid died.
Yeah.
So they're starting the video with that.
That didn't really stay with him either. Like I know it did, but like I feel like that's something where you lose your coaching job.
I mean, Jim Boeheim ran over and killed somebody, and he was allowed to continue coaching too.
Never even heard that story.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. But yeah, we're going to talk about a lot on the show today. That was just our little intro. We get warmed up here. We talk about the things that are on mind. Now we get into the actual script. But before we do that, make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ride the Line. We're going to be doing betting picks all football season. Our plan is some betting picks for Thursday night football, some betting picks for college football, and some for the NFL slate on Sunday. So make sure you guys subscribe, and we're going to be getting that going. Also, Grant, tell the people why they need to check out WSN, our presenting sponsor for this show.
100%, guys. WSN.com, home of the World Sports Network. That's where you're going to get picks, thoughts, analysis, hopefully no pricks, from myself, Tanner, the team of experts throughout the NFL season, but not just limited to the NFL, NBA, NHL, MLB, soccer, anything you could possibly think of, you're going to get it all right there. Along with, here's the big one, bonus codes for the sports books. So you can get things like profit boost, bonus bets, all that great stuff. It is over there at WSN.com. Picks, not pricks.
You okay this morning?
I don't know. I don't know what just happened there.
Caesars, BetMGM, FanDuel, Fanatics, all of them are on there. So make sure you guys check it out. We got some Cowboys beef. So I before we get into the Dez Bryant, Nicki Minaj drama here that unfolded on Twitter yesterday, I think the biggest thing that we need to talk about to set the stage, obviously Micah Parsons comes out, says he wants to get traded. Here's the funny thing. If Micah Parsons believes that Jerry Jones is going to trade away him, he is outside of his freaking mind. Jerry probably saw this and he started laughing. He said, I ain't traded my franchise defensive end. That's crazy. And he told Cowboys fans, he's like, don't worry about it. It's not even something to think about. So Micah Parsons will be playing for the Cowboys this year.
I had a friend text me like a minute after the report came out, or after Micah tweeted that he, thank you, Dallas. It looked like he just ended his commitment to a college and was transferring. He said, thank you, Dallas. Like that, Micah. It's not how it works. But I'm on Micah's side in this because I'm a Commanders fan. And I love to see the Cowboys in chaos. I had a friend text me 1 minute after that tweet in all capital letters. Dementia test on Jerry Jones. Terry for Micah straight up. Who says no? Like, just call him up, figure out if he actually has dementia or not, and see if he would do the trade.
Jerry ain't trading Micah Parsons. Jerry ain't even going to consider that. And I hate where we've gotten to in this world. I really do, in the professional sports world, because I think that mindset's now seeping into college. And it's like, if things don't go your way, you just want out. And that's my biggest issue here. Does Micah Parsons deserve a contract extension? Yes, especially considering his age. I think Trey Hendrickson probably deserves a contract extension. But in the end of the day, these guys are all under contract. You are required to play for the team that you are under contract for. If they're not going to pay you, you need to go prove your worth and get paid somewhere else. So that is my biggest issue. When you pull this behavior that like Trey Hendrickson has done, by the way, he hasn't even shown up yet. So I don't think the Bengals are on.
He's back, but he's holding in.
Okay. So he's holding in. I don't even know, because realistically, he knows he needs to play this season in order to get paid next season, whether it's with the Bengals or not. The Bengals are still in the position of power there. In the end of the day, the employer is in the position of power. And Jerry, maybe he doesn't want to keep Micah long term. Who knows? He should want to do that. But it hurts it's disrespectful to the fans in the end of the day. If you're under contract, same thing with Terry McLaurin. If you're under contract, you shouldn't be crying for a contract extension. You handle that behind the scenes. You go out there and you play football.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. We've talked about this numerous times now, but I do feel like it is different for Micah Parsons versus Trey Hendrickson versus McLaurin because they've already negotiated contract extensions in the NFL. They've had their big paydays. This is Micah's big one. And he's going to make, I think, 26 million this year because the team triggered the 5th-year option. But if you just look at his rookie contract, it was an average annual value of $4 million a year. He might be making $40 million a year on his next one. So that's a 36 million per year difference. So I don't begrudge him for taking such a strong opposing stance in this whole ordeal. And here's also what I'll say about the Cowboys. I don't trust them to get this done because we saw them drag it out with Dak. We saw them drag it out with CD. I truly believe what they're going to do is they're going to let him play this year on the 5th-year option. They'll franchise tag him. They'll franchise tag him again. And then maybe they'll agree to a contract extension. They might also just let him walk.
They could let him walk, and maybe they trade him if it gets to that situation where they are tagging him, multiple times. But I think the biggest issue here, though, is the fact that players now, when they're not getting their contract extension, they're immediately crying for a trade. And again, when Michael Parsons, he deserves a contract. All these guys deserve extensions, but if your employer's not going to give it, it's no different than being in the corporate world and being a freaking accountant and you want more money and your boss isn't going to give it to you. You can't go cry for it. You want a new job, I guess you go look for a new job, but you can't cry for more money. You got to either do your job or you got to leave. With these guys, I guess it's the same way. But the fact that they want to get traded, why is Jerry Jones going to trade Micah Parsons? He's not going to do it. And Jerry even came out and said, Mike is getting paid pretty well this year, but obviously he wants that long-term stability.
Yeah, and also 24 million is pretty well compared to, what's the average U.S. job income? $50,000-$60,000. He's getting pretty well paid compared to that. Yeah. But when you look at fair market value, and that's $40 million a year, he's losing $16 million this year, and he has no long-term security. So from that perspective, he's not getting paid well at all.
But you got to show up for the fans. In the end, thank you, Dallas, because I'm not getting paid.
Well, he did. This is the thing. He did show up. I think his agent had advised him not to show up. But Schottenheimer coming in, and because it was his first year, Schottenheimer had pulled Micah aside, said, hey, I would like for you to take on more of a leadership role this year. When he had those negotiations, in quotes, with Jerry Jones, that was during a leadership meeting. Micah thought that to be a leader, he wanted to show up. He wanted to be at practice. It was only because Jerry Jones was taking shots at him that he decided to go into a holdout mode.
Yeah, and I also think, too, that Jerry's on his way out. We know that. But I think, too, there's going to be a period of time here where the NFL owners get together just because the owners are in power. And they may make an under the table agreement where if anybody requests a trade, if anyone comes out and publicly says, since I'm not getting extended, I want to trade, they might just say, hey, those guys are off limits. We're not trading those guys. We're going to let them sit there. And if they don't want to play, so be it. That would give the owners a bigger position of power than they already have.
So should we get to the funny part of this story?
Yeah, Dez Bryant. I feel like a lot of people came out in support of Micah, but Dez was one of them. So why don't you break it down, Grant?
Yeah, so Micah, this whole situation kicked off between Micah and Jerry Jones. And then a couple of days later, after Micah posted on Twitter, thank you, Dallas, all the reasons that, and I appreciated Micah, by the way. He spilled the beans. He said, here's what I said. Here's what they said. Here's where my head's at. My agent said this, blah, blah, blah. He was very transparent. And a day or two later, Jerry Jones was given a press conference because Jerry loves the cameras. He loves the microphones. He was talking about how he's had problems in the past negotiating contracts and always come out on the brighter side. But he talked about a situation in which he negotiated Dez Bryant's contract extension with Rock Nation and how that created a variety of problems along the way. Then Dez Bryant hops on Twitter, says, kind of like Michael Parsons said, hey, why'd you just throw an unnecessary jab at me? Dez Bryant, not the best Cowboy in the franchise history when you look at who they have, but certainly one of the most beloved. And at his peak, one of the most dominant for like a couple of years there. Dez was insane. So Dez hops on Twitter, defends himself, says, don't make me tell the stories from when I was in Dallas. Nicki Minaj inserts herself. She loves a bit of drama. She loves typing in all capital letters. And she's currently beefing with Rock Nation. So she jumps in and she says, I'll make you a deal. For every story you tell, I'll tell one of my own. Dez Bryant then responds and says, hey, Nicki, you don't want me to tell the stories about you either. And they have this huge back and forth. Nicki Minaj accuses Dez Bryant of beating up his own mom, I think putting her in the hospital. Dez responds back. Nicki Minaj, after a long back and forth, Nicki says, I got 10 million for you to fight my husband. Dez Bryant says, tell him to bring the 10 million and I'll park him right in front of you. And I just got to stop for a second here, because this is, not to be sexist in any way here, but like, this is what an angry woman will do sometimes. As a man, you just get involved in a situation that you didn't ask to be in, because now Nicki Minaj's husband has to fight 6'3", 220-pound Dez Bryant, who spent 25 to 30 years of his life going to war, throwing bows with some of the most aggressive and physically tough men in this country. And now, at however old her husband is, 40, 50 years old, he's got to go fight Dez Bryant. He didn't sign up for that. He didn't wake up this morning to go do that.
He actually looks pretty jacked. I mean, I'm taking Dez all the way. Kenneth Petty. He looks like he's in good shape. Interesting. I mean, Nicki Minaj, this is just crazy. This is just dumb. This is everything I would expect from a Nicki Minaj. Like, get involved in something that probably doesn't need to get involved in. This went from a contract situation to then. I mean, Dez probably, Dez probably escalated it by saying she was getting passed around the Cowboys locker room like a football. But it's
okay. I don't think he said it in those words, but
he basically insinuated it. So it probably was a situation where we were talking contract and football. Jerry has every right to bring up the contract negotiation with Dez. Dez has every right to comment back at it. Nicki probably shouldn't have went back into the situation there. I blame Nicki Minaj, but then Dez escalated more. Like, Dez probably should have said, Jerry, don't be talking about me. Here's what happened, blah, blah, blah. And then Nicki probably shouldn't. He probably shouldn't have interacted with Nicki. Wait, so, Nicki's first comment at him was just about Rock Nation. Like, it had nothing to do with Dez, right?
What Nicki's first comment?
Nicki was like, I didn't like Rock Nation either, right? Didn't she say that for her first comment?
I think her first comment was, for every story you tell, I'll tell one of my own. Something like, I could be wrong, but I know she said that at one point. I thought it was first.
Was she in support of Rock Nation?
No, she's beefing with Rock Nation. That's why she inserted herself, because Rock Nation represented Dez Bryant during the contract stuff.
So did she just take a shot at Dez then?
She was trying, I think, to take a shot at Rock Nation.
But it came off as Dez.
Yeah, and she responded to Dez without him involving her.
Gotcha. And then Dez said, don't make me tell those stories about you in the Cowboys locker room back in the day. Dez is an interesting guy. Like, selling sports picks, Fanatics partner. This man made a ton of money. Like, you know what? Dez ultimately, like, I remember Dez Bryant as a freaking savage in the NFL. Yeah. Like, he was that guy. And now I feel like, just because of his online, like, just how it, like, he doesn't feel like a legend anymore. You get that vibe?
I get the same vibe about Scottie Pippen.
Yeah. I mean,
Scottie Pippen just tweets about meme coins all day.
We just didn't grow up in the Scottie Pippen era.
No, but, yeah, I get what you're saying, though.
No,
by the way, Tanner, let me jump in here. So I have some information. You said that her husband looked pretty jacked.
Yeah.
Well, first things first, he's a registered sex offender, and so he has to list his height and weight on the website, the Megan's Law, his Megan's Law profile. He's 5'9", 170. Dez Bryant is 6'3", 220. Right, and one of the most athletic receivers in the NFL.
Like, Dez had a good stretch from 2012. He'd beat his ass, but Dez had a good stretch. Like, Dez pace was Hall of Fame from 2012 to 2014. I wonder what happened.
I think he was just so physical that his body did break down a little bit.
Yeah, like, he was putting up, 2012, 1,300 yards, 2013, 1,200, 2014, 1,300, had double-digit touchdowns each season, 12 plus, and then kind of faded off a little bit. But, I remember Dez Bryant as a just savage wide receiver. And now I feel like he's just I feel like he kind of was a bust now, just because of his online presence. I don't feel like he's a Cowboys legend,
I mean, 2014, he had 88 catches for 1,320 yards, 16 touchdowns. I remember that year. It was like he caught a touchdown every game. he had a lot of injuries. I remember him being banged up. I didn't realize it was this bad. He fractured his right ankle, fractured his left index finger, had a shoulder injury, fractured right foot, a knee injury, torn Achilles, and then another torn Achilles.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
No way.
Team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler?
He was, what'd you say, 3-time first team All-Pro?
No, 1-time first team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler.
No. I mean, he only had 3,000-yard receiving seasons.
Yeah.
He had a very, his flame burned very hot, but it burned quickly.
Burned quick. Yeah, definitely burned quick. So yeah, I mean, to put a bow on the Dez Bryant, Nicki Minaj situation, just really interesting stuff. Sex offender? We can talk about.
That's I'll tell you off camera. It's bad.
That's interesting. I never heard that. I mean, I'm not into I mistake Nicki Minaj for Cardi B all the time. Like I get them intertwisted. Because they both kind of look the same to me and sound the same. But Cardi B, now her and Stephon Diggs are having a real good time up and doing it.
We don't need to go into this.
I'm just saying, I can't wait to see Nicki Minaj. No, Cardi B. Do they beef ever? If Cardi B and Nicki Minaj
did beef, yeah, because
they look the same and they sound the same. That's why
they were shooting a music video for Motorsport by Migos, and Cardi was with Offset at the time, and one of Takeoff's lines in the song was, "If Nicki show me her titty, I swear to the Bible that I won't tell." I think he recorded that after they'd already filmed the music video, so Nicki didn't know he had said that, and then he put it in there, and then she got mad at that, and then Cardi B, because Offset is her man, rushed to defend Takeoff, and then her and Nicki started beefing off of that.
So Cardi B's 32. Nicki Minaj is way older.
She's 40 something. Yeah.
Yeah. Nicki Minaj was like the original, and then Cardi B just like took over. Yeah. So she's 10-year difference between them. So I can't wait to see Cardi B on the sidelines of Patriots games with Drake May's wife
in Foxborough.
Can't wait to see it. It's gonna be great. But yeah, if you guys want to see something really entertaining, go to Cardi B's Instagram. I think it's like her third most recent post or second most recent. And then Stephon Diggs had a nice little comment on there. It's pure wide receiver one behavior. So he's upholding what it takes to be a wide receiver one off the field. I hope he does it on the field. Anyways, what else? What's next, Grant?
Let's tell another cool story, and then let's actually talk some football. This one's a little bit shorter, but something that I saw from Michael Bisping. If you guys don't know Michael Bisping, legendary MMA UFC fighter. And so I guess there was a serial killer. This was news to me. There was a serial killer in Northern England from 1991 to 2004. He created a string of unsolved murders. He would break into people's houses, knock them out or kill them with a hammer, cover their apartments or houses in gas, and then burn it to the ground. And he did this for 13 years. Michael Bisping at some point had talked about how someone broke into his apartment when he was younger, not really thought much of it. There's this guy in jail right now in England who's in there for rape and arson. Grape and arson. Don't think you're allowed to say that word on YouTube, so hopefully they didn't hear that. And he said that he was bragging, he's in there for life. He's getting older. He was bragging, as criminals do sometimes, and said that he broke into the house of a UFC champion. Well, a reporter heard this, went around trying to connect the dots between that and Michael Bisping. Michael Bisping sees it on Twitter and said, "Where did you see this? Yes, this did happen to me." So this serial killer who terrorized England for 13 years broke into the house of one of the greatest UFC fighters that ever lived. Bisping was one of very few, if not the only guy who actually fought this person off and was able to escape. Now, the timeline gets a little confusing here. Bisping was born in 1979. The murders happened from 1991 to 2004. Bisping said that this happened in the 90s. So that would make him a teenager. If he's alone in an apartment, you would think he was probably 18 to 19 years old, something like that. But point being, it looks like this happened. A serial killer broke into Michael Bisping's house, and Bisping fought him off and escaped.
Now, do you think you'd take 18 or 19-year-old Michael Bisping or a serial killer with a hammer? Like, I feel like the UFC hammer's deadly. Don't get me wrong, obviously, but like I feel like a lot of UFC fighters, pound per pound, could take on a guy with a hammer.
At 18 to 19 years old, well, here's the thing. Bisping escaped the house, and that's all you're trying to do in that situation. And so obviously he did it. So I don't need to answer that question. If you had just asked me and I didn't know the outcome, I would say I would think he would be able to escape.
Yeah.
Would he be able to win the fight is different because you actually have to attack that person. And like you said, it takes one hit of a hammer. Doesn't matter how strong, how tough you are. You get hit one time in the head with a hammer, you're probably unconscious and it's over.
It's amazing that this story never came out with Michael Bisping.
Yeah, I guess he talked about it and just said that someone broke into his apartment, whatever. I mean, this might have been news to him that it was this person. And it's not confirmed, but again, this reporter is going around connecting the dots and it's building some credibility.
Yeah, Michael Bisping, 30-9, 16-3 by knockout, 4-2 by submission. Do you know what the guy's name was, the Hammer Killer?
I'm sure I can.
I looked it up. I don't know if this is the guy. I'm seeing Levi Bellyfield.
Levi Belfield, yep.
Is that what it is? It's not Peter Sutcliffe.
No, that he was earlier. I don't know. It looks like Levi Belfield is the correct answer.
Damn, that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, Michael Bisping, it's probably traumatic for him now looking back on it, knowing that because you have a guy break into your apartment, you think he might just be there to, steal your stuff or something. But now it's like you realize he was a serial killer and your life was on the line. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and he was gonna burn you and your house down.
Yeah, but I'll still take the UFC fighter. Like if you give me Conor McGregor against a guy on the street with a hammer, I'm taking Conor McGregor.
At 18 to 19 years old, I think that's far enough down the line. Yeah. If it was like 13, 14-year-old, it might be a little different, but
no chance. Yeah. But 18, 19, like you're starting to fight. You're a fighter now.
Yeah. I think I grew into my body. I'd say it was about 18 when I got to be like 6 foot. I mean, I was running, so I was skinny, but had I been lifting weights, I think that's when I would have been actually matured.
But these kids too, I mean, these guys are training to fight
exactly.
From I saw a video the other day of like an 8-year-old in a cage doing, mixed martial arts, like full on like regular UFC fights, MMA. But it was pretty wild.
I had a friend in my neighborhood growing up. His name was Darian. I haven't talked to him in a long time, but he was one of my best friends. And his dad did something. I think he was former Marines or something, and that he did spec ops, something like that. But point being, he was tough, hard-nosed guy. And like they had a panic room in their house, and my friend was shooting guns before he was 10 years old, and he was taking MMA classes at 4. He was lifting weights in middle school, and like he was prepared to handle himself by the time he was probably 11 to 12 years old. When we got to middle school, he looked like a fully grown man who worked out every day. But it wasn't like the gross, scary kind. Like it looks like he's on steroids. He's gonna die at 30. Like no, he just looked like a very put together man. And we were in middle school.
Every time I watch UFC and I watch these guys go at it, I'm just like, you got to be so tapped out to do this. Like you are a different breed of human to walk into the octagon knowing that it's your job to literally kill the guy across from you. Like, and if you don't do it, like he's going to do it to you. So it's pretty crazy to think. Anyways, good for Michael Bisping escaping. That's scary stuff.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, let's move this on over to something more positive.
Browns. What are the injuries in their quarterback room right now? Because they added Tyler Huntley, which is kind of dumb.
Shedeur had supposedly some soreness in his throwing shoulder. Dillon Gabriel's got a hamstring, and I think Kenny Pickett has a hamstring as well.
But they're all participating still in practice.
I think Pickett, Shedeur got held out on Saturday or Sunday. I think Pickett missed some time early in camp, but I believe he's back now.
All right. So the biggest news of the night, which basically all the game 1 depth charts started to drop yesterday. And now we're getting the news, where are these guys at? We talked about Travis Hunter already. Basically, Shedeur Sanders comes out. He's QB4 of the Cleveland Browns, which when you really sit back and think about it, it's not much of a surprise. It's the first depth chart. You got Flacco there. You have Kenny 2 gloves. You got Dillon Gabriel, who's a 3rd round pick. So if you take Gabriel, I mean, you got to imagine he's going to be higher on the depth chart than the 5th round pick. But I look at this a little differently. I look at this as bad news for Shedeur Sanders. I don't think they would cut him. I think they would try to trade him somewhere and, hype up the character's great. He's actively participating. He can be an NFL quarterback. We just had no intention of taking him. We took him because of value. I think they can find a way to do that, especially if he plays well in the preseason. I expect him to play a lot. But I don't see him being Cleveland Brown long-term. I really don't, especially with what Jimmy Haslam came out and said. We had no intention of drafting him on Friday night when I was leaving the facility. I would have never thought we had Shedeur Sanders. So just because of that, I don't think he's going to be a Cleveland Brown for a long time. I think hopefully he can play well in the preseason. They can deal him.
So I think that perspective is totally valid, and it could absolutely be true. That being said, I look at it in a different perspective. Them signing Tyler Huntley, I think they know that 3 of the 4 quarterbacks they have right now are tradable. You can trade Kenny Pickett, you can trade Dillon Gabriel, you can trade Shedeur. It might not be for a lot, but you would find an offer from at least one team for all of them. So I think they signed Tyler Huntley knowing that they could be trading 2 of their quarterbacks. And that's why he's there. I know there's talk that it's just an injury thing, but I'll be honest, I'm not buying this. I'm not buying that Shedeur had shoulder soreness and he wanted to sit out. I'm not buying that Dillon Gabriel has a hamstring and he can't play. Kenny Pickett, okay, that was legit because he missed time, but he's back and he's healthy now. And let's be honest, they're all supposed to be backups. Flacco's probably starting in week 1. So why do you need an emergency replacement for your backups? It doesn't add up to me. So I think Flacco's going to be the week 1 starter. They're looking at Shedeur. They're looking at Dillon Gabriel. They're like, you're not ready to start in week 1. Kenny Pickett, we regret trading for you in the first place because we just drafted 2 quarterbacks. So you have no future here. So Flacco's the week 1 guy. I think they're going to hand it off to either Gabriel or Shedeur after about 2 months. Personally, I think it's going to be Shedeur. I think they hand it off to Shedeur after 2 months, and they keep Tyler Huntley as their backup because he was a free agent for a reason. Nobody wanted to sign him. He'll be around. You can even put him on practice squad, and the team's probably not going to sign him, and you can elevate him if you need to. Then you trade Pickett and you trade Gabriel. Maybe it's you trade Pickett and you trade Shedeur, but I don't know. I'm not a Dillon Gabriel truther. I'm not a big practice stats guy. Don't get me wrong, but he went 3 for 14 with an interception the other day. And it's like, come on, like he's 5'11". He's not an exceptional athlete. His arm isn't incredible. He doesn't have great mental processing. He doesn't have, at least with Bryce Young, you're like, he's a football genius. He gets it. With Baker Mayfield, he's so competitive. With Drew Brees, he's got deadly accuracy.
Don't loop Baker Mayfield.
I'm talking about the 6 foot and under guys, the 6 foot and under quarterbacks. They all have these defining characteristics. Dillon Gabriel doesn't have that.
Baker's thick though. Baker's a different breed of a 6 foot quarterback. Is Baker 6 feet on the dot, or
he's 6? He's probably 6 foot. I would say like 220, something like that. They might list him at 6'1", but
Dillon Gabriel's a little scrub compared to Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield's 6'1", 209. He's got some bulk to him. Dillon Gabriel, I just don't see it there. But that's where I'm at with the future for this team, because I think Dillon Gabriel has no trade value. Maybe if he plays well in the preseason, great. But I think you can get a lot more for Shedeur Sanders than you can get for Dillon Gabriel. And you're not getting a ton for either of them. I mean, if you look at Shedeur, you're probably not getting more than a 5th round pick because that's what he was in the future. But for Dillon Gabriel, I think this is a guy who's going to be a backup for the Cleveland Browns potentially, but I don't think he has a lot of trade value. I think the Browns are going to be going to the quarterback market. Maybe not this year, maybe next year. I don't know what it's going to be, but like if Arch Manning's available and this team tanks, like they're going to take Arch Manning, no doubt about it. If they have a chance to take a quarterback early next year, like a Drew Aller or a Garrett Nussmeier, they may do that too. They may not be happy with the quarterbacks that they have right now. We just don't know. I don't see either. I mean, maybe Shedeur, but I don't see Dillon Gabriel being a franchise quarterback. And the way they're treating Shedeur right now and talking about Shedeur, I don't know if he's going to be a franchise quarterback.
I get that, or I agree that Shedeur has a higher trade value than Dillon Gabriel, you would think, but I also think Shedeur has a much, much, much better chance to become a legitimate starting quarterback than Dillon Gabriel does. So if you are the Browns, you would maybe hold on to him for that perspective. If they go down the route you're talking about, which I think is definitely possible, where they draft a quarterback in the first round next year, you have to wonder why the heck did they draft 2 quarterbacks in this draft. But when you consider who they could get with their draft pick next year for quarterback, yeah, you probably believe in them more than you Flacco, Pickett, Gabriel, and Shedeur. So maybe they're cleaning house and they're trading all 3. Maybe they're trading Pickett and Shedeur and Gabriel. They don't seem to have any idea what they're doing over there. I will say they have 2 projected top 10 picks next year because they have their first and they have the Jaguars first. I'm looking at Tankathon, which does a great job with mock draft stuff. They have them picking 2nd and 9th. They also have Arch going first. So if the Browns get the first pick or Arch doesn't go first, he could be there. They have Nussmeier going 5th, Aller going 7th, Lenore Sellers going 8th. Again, the Browns pick 9th, so they're right there in that mix. Cade Klubnik would also be on the board. So there's definitely quarterback options, and I like all of those guys better than I like Shedeur and Gabriel.
Everybody needs to calm down about Arch Manning coming out of college. Like, Arch Manning is going to play 2 seasons at Texas as the starting quarterback. There is no doubt he is not going to come out of the NFL draft next year.
I agree.
There's no chance. I don't know why everyone's on the Arch Manning train. We haven't even seen the kid play, but he's going to do 2 years at Texas. He wants to win a national title. If he goes, wins national title, wins the Heisman this year, yeah, there's no reason for him to stay. But if he doesn't win the Heisman, he looks okay this year. And, Texas is good, a playoff team, but they're not a national championship team. There's no reason for him to leave. He's going to play one more season, especially with how loaded this quarterback class is next year. So I think maybe it's not next year, maybe it's the next year with the Browns, but they don't really have a solution at quarterback. You have a project with Shedeur Sanders, and you have a guy in Dillon Gabriel who I don't know why he went in the 3rd round.
2027 quarterback prospects that are going to be available. DJ Lagway, he's the projected number 1 pick in the draft in 27. Dylan Rayola's up there. Julian Sayin, who a lot of people think will win the Ohio State job this year. Damon Williams from Washington. Aaron Noland at South Carolina, who's not playing because Lenore Sellers is there.
Alabama,
Ethan Grunkmeyer.
Yeah. No, there's if I'm Arch and the Manning family will advise him correctly, why are you going to come out in a year where you got Klubnik, Sellers, Aller, Nussmeier? It just makes no sense.
Yeah, I agree. So real quick, speaking of these draft prospects, did you hear about, who Caden Proctor is, the Alabama tackle?
No.
So he's their left tackle. He's going to be a junior this year, I believe. He's 6'7", 370. He has the feet of like a dancer. And apparently in the offseason lifting program this year, he squatted 815 and he benched 535.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Alabama's gonna have a good offensive line. Alabama always has a good offensive line. They had a good offensive line last year. You just had a quarterback who tipped his plays.
Well, yeah, but we're talking about like the GOAT lineman here. Like he's not clumsy. He can move well, and he's squatting 815 at 6'7", 380.
I got to keep an eye out for him because I like betting on Alabama football games. So I got to catch up on the college stuff. I've been so in the NFL lately. I gotta get back into the college before the season kicks off in week 0.
Proctor's like plus 10,000 or something to be the first pick in the draft next year, and it could definitely be worth a look there.
Yeah, definitely.
Because Arch, like you said, I don't think Arch is coming out either. So there's not going to be like, are people going to elevate Aller or Sellers or somebody? If Arch isn't there, then one of those quarterbacks will be talked about as the potential first pick, but that's because they're the best quarterback, not because necessarily they're the best prospect. If you can have the best left tackle in the league for 10 years and maybe a Hall of Fame left tackle, that's definitely worth the first pick.
I like that too for the Saints. I mean, I don't know what the Saints' needs are going to be next season, but they really don't need in the end of the day, if you have Arch with the chance to go play for the New Orleans Saints, I think you're taking that all day long and trading Mr. Tyler Shaw. But in the situation that Arch doesn't come out, you really don't need a quarterback because you just took one. Take the left tackle. I think that could be good.
And I mean, all 3 of these top teams too. The Saints need a tackle. The Browns, they need a tackle. And then the Titans, like, think if you can pair Cam Ward with a left tackle like that.
Yeah. And Cam Ward, everything we're seeing there is he's lighting the world on fire down in Tennessee. One thing that was funny too, just like he has funny one-liners. Like, I don't think Cam Ward's like overly media trained yet. Mm-hmm. You notice that?
Yeah. Agreed.
He's got some good storylines. Like, the thing he was talking about the other day with his dad, like, I saw my dad wake up every day, 5:30 to work. If I can't do that for this, like, what am I doing? Like, he's got good stories, but then he'll have the best was the Will Levis when it's like, what is Will getting surgery mean to you? And he says,
I'm focused on Cam Ward.
I'm focused on Cam Ward. Yeah.
They did him dirty. They cut the clip though.
What did he say?
He started by saying, I'm worried on Cam Ward. I support Will and what he does. If this is the best decision for him, I think he should do it. Like
But
something like
still,
that.
you can't lead with I'm focused on Cam Ward. Like you're asking to get it cut. You need to be like, yeah, Will's been a great competitor. He's been really helpful, teaching me how to be an NFL quarterback. I've learned from his experiences so far in Tennessee. I'm going to really miss competing against him every day on the field. Like he's been a huge asset, and I think he's going to continue to be a massive asset for us just in the film room and in our quarterback meetings and stuff. So hoping for a quick recovery for him. That's what you got to say. You can't be like, I'm focused on Cam Ward. That's crazy.
Well, my favorite one was when a reporter asked him what he thought of the offense right now. He said, to be honest, I think we're very mid.
I mean, I guess that's okay. I don't know. Like I would say, hey, we got a young unit, including myself. I need to be better. And I think as soon as I continue improving, I think the offense, we're going to find a spark or something like that. I just wouldn't, I don't know, for saying we're very mid. Like I don't think you should be calling. I guess you're calling out the whole unit, but it starts with you as the quarterback. So if you're mid, the quarterback is the biggest reason for it.
I remember he was streaming before the NFL draft. He was playing some game and someone asked him like, who are the best receivers in the NFL? And he said, Calvin Ridley, Treylon Burks, Nick Westbrook-Akine, and Jamar Chase. Like that was his four.
I was thinking about that the other day too, before we finish up with our quarterback talk here. I was thinking about the streaming thing. So I saw just a little side story. Did you see the video of Joe Burrow yesterday at training camp?
Mm-mm.
He's coming out to the field in a go-kart or in a golf cart. And these kids are sitting there waiting for like Joe Burrow. They got a sign, they got a jersey and all this stuff. And Joe Burrow like throws a towel at them. And for a kid, it's really cool, I'm sure. Like if I was a kid and Joe Burrow threw me his towel, I would think it was super cool. There were two kids, one towel though, and then like NFL and CBS posted. So I'm like, I have to go to the comment section for this because they're going to rip Joe Burrow apart for not stopping.
Yeah.
Because in the end of the day, he's got to get to practice. But if he's late to practice by a couple minutes because he's signing kids' autographs, like he's the franchise quarterback. He can do what he wants. So the comments were like, he's throwing his sweaty towel at the kids. He could have stopped, blah, blah, blah. And then I thought about it. I'm like, all these NFL guys and every athlete in general, they get ripped for no matter what they do. But the comments are overwhelmingly negative. So when it comes to streaming, I think it's great that players stream. I think streaming is the most dangerous thing to a player's brand that you're ever going to get.
Like 100%.
I think there should be rules. And I think it's cool, like to see them talk about it and maybe in the off season too, but like everything gets clipped. You're getting questions on the fly. You're not thinking in the moment. It's like a press conference where you're like bang, 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 getting questions. I don't think players should stream ever because they just get ripped apart.
Yeah, at least with a podcast, you can edit it or just not post it. With streaming, it's live, and you're probably not even thinking about the question. You're focused on the game you're playing or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
So if it's a serious question, even if it's not a serious question, if you just say the wrong word, then you're done.
Yeah. So the Browns quarterback situation. Any final thoughts on it?
I like Shedeur the best. I am excited to see him play in the preseason, and that will. I don't want to say it'll determine what I think of him, but it'll probably determine if it's him or Gabriel that gets cut or traded.
I'll tell you what, preseason football is the only time where you're going to get national television for the Cleveland Browns and the Carolina Panthers. It's the only time. We got Colts Ravens, got a good quarterback battle out in Indy. We get Raiders versus Seahawks. So I guess the new look Raiders against the new look
Pete Carroll against his old team.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting. New York versus Buffalo. We want to see the quarterback situation with New York. Minnesota, Houston. We want to see J.J. McCarthy. It's crazy how they schedule these. They schedule it with the new quarterbacks. New York versus Green Bay. We won't see Justin Fields one bit. We won't see Jordan Love there. And then to wrap up the weekend, L.A. Chargers, New Orleans Saints. We want to see Mr. Tyler Shaw. And then is it Shaw or Shaw? Shaw, right? Shuck? Oh, no shit, really? I'm way off there then. That's how much he matters to me. And then the Chicago Bears versus the Miami Dolphins there. So anyways, Grant.
On Friday, we'll talk about some of my favorite picks. Because we talked about this before. I think there are actually a couple preseason games I'll bet on.
I'm going to go to one Buccaneers game. I'll bet on that. I think other than that, I'm going to try to stay away because I had a really rough time betting some preseason games last year. And then like when I was leaving the sports book, I was like, what am I doing right now? Like why did I just do this? I got football starting in 2 weeks.
Hey, you're not going to be able to see the Connecticut Sun at the Mohegan anymore. Did you see that?
They're in Boston.
Yeah.
record sale. The tribe took the money and ran as quickly as possible. I'll tell you that. What was it, 33 million or something?
Something like that, yeah.
What was that, 1 year of Jaylen Brown? No,
that's
half a year of Jaylen Brown, right? Yeah. So
yeah.
that franchise sold for a half year of Jaylen Brown. That's pretty crazy to think about. So anyways, JJ McCarthy, he sucks from what I'm hearing. But also, then you see that viral clip where he like sneaks the ball in over the top. Do you see that on Twitter?
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've seen a lot of. I think people try to control the narrative. They see what's the narrative is, and then either they try to feed it or the other side comes out and they try to downplay it. So I don't look too much into camp stuff, but I see a lot of interceptions from him. I hear the quote that Justin Jefferson said, which you love to talk about, which is he's like, it's not fair for me to have expectations for him. He's basically a rookie, and he might not be the great at the start. It does seem like the fact he's playing in the preseason, which I get because he's a young guy and you want to get him reps, and he didn't play at all last year. But like, still, this is supposed to be your franchise, not savior, but like your guy for the next however long. And week 1 of the preseason, like, yeah, no doubt he's going out there to get reps. I'm just not very confident in him long term.
Somebody quote tweeted an article talking about him struggling, and it was like, I wonder if the Vikings have tried handing the ball off a lot. So yeah, I don't think he's going to be very good, and it's unfair to judge him right now. We can't judge him until we see a season of him, but I was not high on JJ McCarthy coming out of college. I don't know how anybody could have been high on JJ. He was a great college quarterback. He was a Michigan man, really good with play action, really good hand the ball off. I don't think his skill set translates to the NFL, but that's just me.
I mean, I think there's a world in which he could play, and the Vikings are a great situation because they have all the weapons and they have the defense and they have the head coach, and it could work out to a certain extent. I think it's the fact that he was the 10th pick in the draft. Like, if he was Dak Prescott, if he got drafted in the 4th round and everything was the same, just he was the 4th round draft pick instead of a top 10 draft pick, then I might be looking at this like, okay, you know what? That was a nice pick by the Vikings. He'll come in, get the ball to the playmakers, let the defense help out when he needs it. You can win games with that. It's the expectations that come with being a top 10 pick. And you see what Jaden Daniels did. You see the potential Drake May showed. You see what Caleb Williams could be with Ben Johnson and these weapons. He's got to get there, but what he could be. You see the arm talent of Michael Penix. It's like he has to live up to that. Bo Nix as well had a good rookie season. It's like he has to be with those guys, if not outperforming them. And that's a tall ask.
No, it's definitely a tall ask. I don't see much from him, but that's just me. I think he needs to target Justin Jefferson early and often. I think they need to have a really good run game. They need to work play action. They're more than capable of doing it. Kevin O'Connell is a great offensive coordinator, but the fact that he was such a high pick puts such high expectations on him. Also, to top it off too, he missed a season. So he is a rookie, but I don't think he's going to get credit for being a rookie. People want it now, especially after you have a year to learn.
He's also he didn't just miss a season. Like, let's be honest, he suffered a torn ACL. On top of losing the rhythm, he lost physical ability. He's got to get the confidence back in his knee. Is he fully confident yet? Probably not, because how could you be if you haven't even stepped on a football field since your injury?
Yeah, definitely. Do we have any other quarterbacks to talk about?
No, that's it. Just JJ.
Just JJ, yeah. I mean, should be interesting. We'll see what happens. What team, Grant, are you most excited to watch this preseason?
Well, aside from the Commanders, obviously. Who do I wish I had prepared for this because I would love to give you like a really thought out answer. I'll say you'll appreciate this. I'll say the Buccaneers because I think they have some really, really underrated depth pieces. Like, I think the preseason could be great to Sean Tucker and Tez Johnson and Payne Durham and Trey Palmer. And then on defensively, Warren Peoples, Antonio Greer Jr., like Bryce Hall. They have some guys that I'm a fan of. That Benjamin Morrison, I love. He's got the injury concern with the hip, but they've got a lot of players that I love that might not play a lot in the regular season, but I think they could be awesome in the preseason.
Yeah, I think preseason Buccaneers football is going to be a lot of fun, especially now they're established too. Like 2 years ago, it was, what are we going to get from Baker? How are we going to be moving post Brady? Now we're officially post Brady. They're on a roll. So excited to see what they do. I'm excited to see how their offense looks with the new OC too. I'm going to say I'm excited to see Shedeur, and I'm excited to see Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett. Honestly, how that trio looks in the preseason is going to be a lot of fun for me. I'm also excited to see Bryce Young a little bit. I think you kind of got to put Bryce Young out there if you're Carolina. I think you got to get him more game reps, especially how he looked towards the end of the season. So I'm hoping we could see a little Bryce Young there too. Those would be my two teams.
The Colts could also be fun too, because they got at least two guys, maybe three, depending on if you're a Riley Leonard truther in a quarterback battle.
Riley Leonard's going to be a hell of a backup. Wait, you know who I'm most excited to watch? You should have known this.
Quinn Ewers.
I'm so excited to watch Quinn Ewers in the preseason. So excited. So they're on TV too, I think. Right? Yeah. 1:00 NFL Network Sunday. Well, Dolphins Bears action. I'm excited to see the Bears too, because we were going to talk about Caleb, I guess, a little bit. He just looks like he's crashing out in training camp all the time right now. And I think that Bears fans are going to be very disappointed by how their season looks this year with Ben Johnson. I think he's going to be a good coach long-term. You can't expect it in year one.
Yeah, again, I'm not a camp stats guy, but the clip of Caleb like getting sacked, but then obviously they don't sack him, and then he rolls out, and it looks like he might have been trying to throw the ball away. I don't know, but he throws it into triple coverage, and it's a pop fly to the safety, and it's an interception. That's awful. And Caleb, I'm sure you've seen the clip of the accuracy drill where they're throwing it in the net and he misses. I think he missed the entire net, like not just the square in the net. And he turns around, he like throws his hands up like a toddler who just lost his toy. Like that's not competitiveness. I saw some Bears fans trying to spin it like, look how competitive it is. He was so dialed in. He wanted that so bad. No, that's being a baby.
He should, he is an NFL quarterback. He threw 4 or 5 footballs. One of them should have gone to target, in my opinion. Now, we don't know either what the drill was. Like those balls could have been wet. Like they could have done, the wet ball drill and trying to throw, because it doesn't look like he gets a good grip on it. It's trying to throw it quick. But yeah, that looked a lot like the crash out when he was crying with his parents in the stands. Also, the play is very concerning where he rolls to his right and throws it deep. I don't even know why these teams do these family days.
I don't either.
Why would you?
Nothing good will come from it.
No, I mean, I get it. Like the Packers do a really big one where, they have the fans there and they throw the balls in the target and they do a lot of like mini games and stuff. And I would never do full team. 7-on-7's fine, I guess. But like, I would never be doing team in front of fans. Like, it's not going to end well.
And also, did you see the Bears were running trick plays in front of the fans?
Yeah. If you really want to do it, season ticket holders, maybe. But like even that, why the clips get out with the media. You don't need fans filming stuff. And that was a fan angle that we got at Caleb Williams. Like my POV on Caleb Williams changes a lot now just by seeing that clip. Because I'm like, if Caleb Williams doesn't have a good sophomore season in the NFL, not that people are going to be calling for him, but the bust meter is going to be much higher than it already is.
I think he could end up in the Trevor Lawrence tier, which is like there are going to be people who still believe in him. He'll be a starting quarterback for at least 5 years because the potential he has, but Trevor Lawrence has not produced. There's going to be people saying you need to get him the weapons, you need to get him this, blah, 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 blah. But he'll play like the 12th, he'll play like the 20th best quarterback in the NFL, something like that.
Yeah, he's good. He's never not going to be a starter, but Trevor Lawrence, the way they hyped him up too is generational talent. But the thing about Trevor Lawrence, at least coming out, there was 0 red flags. Like just there were no criticism on his off the field behavior, how he handled himself. He was just the quarterback Jesus.
On the field too. People were worried Caleb was like he relied on improvising too much. There was none of that with Lawrence. Lawrence was a perfect prospect.
No, yeah, he was I'm not saying he was Arch Manning, but he was as close to the Arch Manning as you're going to get without a Manning name. Like people, as soon as he stepped foot on the field, Clemson, this was going to be the first quarterback in the draft whenever he came out. I think the thing with him is, though, he doesn't get as bad of a rap because he's playing in Jacksonville, number one. But number two, it's just the fact that like people go to Caleb, the nails, the dad not wanting to go to Chicago. There's a lot of things you can target him off the field when things go wrong on the field. With Trevor, what are you going to criticize? The fact that he goes to church on Sunday and he's got a wife and kids? Like he's got no issues other than that. So if he doesn't play well, it's just like, oh, Trevor didn't play well. But with Caleb, it's like, well, he sucks at practice, but he paints his nails. There's just a lot more there to target with Caleb where you don't get it with Trevor. So Caleb's in a tough spot.
Caleb also, what's working against him, and it hasn't worked against him up until this point, but give it like 2-3 years. If Jaden Daniels is a top 5 quarterback, if not above that, like if he gets into that Lamar Jackson level, Drake May, if he plays awesome, which it looked like he could, he just needed the supporting cast. If Bo Nix is good, if Michael Penix is good, the Vikings are going to be good no matter who their quarterback is. JJ McCarthy is going to get credit for that. If all of that is going on in his draft class, and he was supposed to be Patrick Mahomes, and he was the first pick in the draft, and he ends up being the worst one out of all of them, it will get very ugly for him.
Yeah, definitely. But anyways, Grant, that was another episode of Ride the Line. Make sure you guys check out WSN.com, link down in the description below, or just search WSN.com in the search bar. Also, subscribe to the podcast, like the podcast, share the podcast. And Grant, you can take us out of here.
Guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Ride the Line. Tanner and I appreciate you, and we will see you next time for another brand new episode of Ride the Line.